This Lane Kiffin stuff it's an absolute mess. It's a fiasco. And a lot of people have a lot to say on who Lane Kiffin is and what his character is and what his reputation is and how he should be labeled. And you know what? I think joining in a discussion like that is kind of pointless. I don't know Lane Kiffin personally, so who am I to speak of his character and reputation in a certain way? But I am going to say this. I think I want to add a more proactive twist in this discussion than a reactive twist. And so we're going to ask and answer some questions on this episode and say, how on earth did we get here? How did this mess get created? And what can we do to fix it to make sure this never happens again? My first statement is this is not Lane Kiffin's fault. This is purely 100%, completely and utterly the NCAA's fault. Having the transfer portal window open during the season is insane. Having the early signing day period open right before the SEC championship game is also ludicrous. But this is the situation that we're in. So those of you that watch pro sports and you're following this whole coaching thing casually, I'm going to put it to you like this. Okay, we're going to go back to 2010, the decision, LeBron James, all right? And I'm going to put a different twist on this. LeBron James is in the middle of his playoff run for the Cleveland Cavaliers, all right? They just swept their opponent in the first round. They won 60-plus games, so the 1 seed. They're going in to play the Celtics in the semis. I'm not going to spoil what happens there. You can look it up. And, LeBron's looking at this team thinking, this is a really good basketball team, but I don't know if we have enough resources to win a championship. Then all of a sudden, what do you know? Pat Riley comes calling, the GM of the Miami Heat, president of the Miami Heat, a.k.a. LSU, in this scenario, and says, hey, LeBron, we want to sign you with the Miami Heat. We have Dwayne Wade. We just signed Chris Bosh. And because of that, I believe we'll have more resources here to win a championship than you would in Cleveland, a.k.a. Ole Miss in this scenario. But here's a twist. We want you to leave right now in the middle of your playoff run. And if you don't leave right now in the middle of your playoff run, you will not receive this offer. So now you've just put LeBron, a.k.a. Lane Kiffin in this scenario, in a really horrible spot because he can either, deny an offer that would be 100% significantly better for his career and whatever he's striving for, or he can take the offer, leave the playoff run mid-season, and be labeled as one of the biggest traitors in the sports history. This is exactly what's going on with college football. Imagine if NFL free agency was going on in the middle of the season, or NBA free agency and such. So instead of holding Lane Kiffin accountable, I think we should try to put ourselves in his shoes and say, dang, that's a tough spot to be in. Who put him in that spot? The NCAA did. So we should ask, yet again, why on earth is the transfer portal opening in the middle of the college football playoff, the climax of the season? That's the issue here, because in Lane Kiffin's shoes, LSU has a right to want him now because the transfer portal is about to open and close. The early signing day window is about to open and close. So if you don't have a head coach by that time, you're kind of screwed for the next year. And your roster is going to be in a really bad spot. So LSU kind of has to be like, hey, Lane, if you don't show up right now, we're going to have to find someone else. And Lane, I'm sure he wants to coach the playoff run. But in this current climate, just can't do that. So we ask the question, why on earth does the transfer portal open in the middle of the college football playoff as well as early signing day? Well, that's because the NCAA wants to adhere to the academic calendar. Remember, semesters, these are still student athletes, believe it or not, and semesters start late January, early January for some people. So you have to transfer to a school before the semester starts. My thought and reason to that is, okay, adhering to the academic calendar, totally fair. Why don't we open it in May then? The NFL doesn't start mandatory workouts until June anyway, and they're fine for it. Yes, they understand they do have voluntary OTAs and workouts before, but, the mandatory stuff doesn't start until June, and the NFL, frankly, they look like they're doing fine with that. So why don't we do that in college football? How about you let the guys that are returnees go through the workouts in the offseason, and then you let the transfers join after the academic calendar is over, so you don't have this fiasco and coaches having to recruit in the middle of their playoff runs trying to win a national championship while solidifying a signing day roster for next year. That's a mess. The workload is off the charts. Human beings, I don't even know, can properly adhere to that workload without seeing effects. Okay? So that's a whole nother argument. The other argument is that it's just a complete mess of a structure, right? Because you have guys transferring in and out in the middle of a national championship run, like Ole Miss, players and coaches included. So it's not perfect to move it to May. I agree. That would be a significant wait, but I solemnly believe that it's better than what we have now if you want to adhere to the academic calendar. So right now, the NCAA has made this a lose-lose for Lane Kiffin. He's either going to be labeled as one of the biggest traitors in college football history, or he's going to turn down a job offer that, let's face it, would be significantly better for his career. And LSU would offer him a lot more resources, and they're probably paying him a lot more money. So, metaphorically speaking, Lane Kiffin is the scapegoat for what the NCAA has created, and the NCAA made themselves a forest fire, and they're sitting there twiddling their thumbs while Lane Kiffin, his reputation, is metaphorically burning in that forest fire. And the NCAA is sitting there twiddling their thumbs and doing absolutely nothing about it. That's the reality of this. So, do I think Lane Kiffin could have handled it better? Maybe. But that's a tough situation to be able to handle better with how obsessed the public is with this whole thing, how public it is. That's tough. Tough spot to be in. So maybe he could have handled it better, but who am I to say that I would have handled it better?